welcome to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia Defazio, and I'm joined today by Prashant Sabapathi of Elite Income Advisors. Prashant, how are you today?
I'm doing well, thanks. It's good to be back. How are you?
It's good to be back with you. I'm doing fantastic.
Good.
We were talking, obviously, this morning before the show started, and I love listening to how busy you've been in the office.
Yep.
Also, let's talk a little bit about Allocate City.
Yeah, new office. We just opened it up. It's big, beautiful office, bunch of different conference rooms. And so it's kind of nice. We've put it like an 80-inch TV in every single one of our conference rooms so that when folks come in, we can show their plan to them on the big screen. Makes it really easy to understand. Our plans are super visual, which is cool for a lot of people who are visual type of learners. And so the transition has just been excellent. So the office is right off of Route 100 and Snowden River Parkway. So it's pretty centrally located. And the response we've gotten from our clients and the television audience has just been absolutely incredible. So I'm very grateful for all of that.
Oh, and Prashant, I love to hear all of the excitement around your book as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, Fiscal Health, Retirement Wealth, we have been giving a copy away to the people that are calling in and getting the complimentary portfolio review, and
Yep.
the response has been overwhelming. They're enjoying the book. They said it's very easy to understand, and they're hoping you come out with a volume 2.
Well, that's what I was really going for. When I had some time during the pandemic to actually sit down and write the book, I tried to tell myself I would keep as much financial lingo out of it as possible. I wanted to make it as simple as possible so that anybody could pick it up and get some kind of education out of it. So whenever I hear that it's easy to read, that's like the biggest compliment to me. So I love that, and thank you. But yeah, when you do book that initial visit with us, if you want to come in, if you have concerns about your retirement or the market or inflation, you'll call, you'll make an appointment with me. And when you come in to visit with me and my team, just be sure to ask us for a complimentary copy of the book, Fiscal Health, Retirement Wealth. It's your prescription for income generation, tax management, and financial peace of mind.
Yes, and that's what it comes down to, Prashant. As we've talked about in the past, entering the retirement years, the one thing that you specifically need is peace of mind. Going to bed at night and knowing that no matter what happens, you're going to be okay.
Yeah, peace of mind, confidence. I always say confidence is the one thing you can't go into retirement without, right? And so peace of mind is the same thing. And that really starts with having a written plan in place. And it's kind of interesting. You ask so many people, or at least I ask so many people, whether or not they have a plan, and they'll tell me, yeah, Prashant, I have a plan. I say, great. What does it look like? What does it entail? And then they just pull out a bunch of their account statements and they put it on my desk and say, well, this is my plan. And I always look at that and say, having statements, having stuff that you've done a good job of accumulating over the last 20, 30, 40 years, that is not a real retirement plan. Yeah. A real retirement plan, in my opinion, ensures that you have an understanding of when your money's going to run out, okay? Mm-hmm. You have an understanding of how much income you're going to be able to generate from your retirement savings on a monthly basis that is reliable income, regardless of whether the stock market is up, down, or sideways. A real retirement plan is written, and it gives you an understanding of how much you're going to pay in taxes, both federally and state. Those are the types of things that go into the creation of a true retirement plan. And it's a little bit of a surprise how many people do not have that in place today.
Is it a staggering number of people that do not have that in place?
I think people have put bits and pieces of it together, but having a comprehensive and coordinated plan really requires that all of these things are put together, kind of like a financial puzzle almost. So you think about Social Security, you think about Medicare, you think about taxes, inflation, income planning, the market. There's so many different topics out there, and you need to examine each one of these topics with the care that it deserves and make sure that it's interconnected with all the other topics that go into the financial planning process. So I found that people address parts of them, but they don't address it all at once. And that, to me, is a pretty big red flag.
Are you finding that there's one area specifically that people fail to plan for? I know obviously you receive a lot of calls regarding taxes, but is there any one specific area that people just aren't thinking about?
I think people misinterpret tax preparation and equate it incorrectly to tax planning.
Okay.
So tax preparation is what you do every year to file your taxes.
Yeah.
We have to do that. You know, you're going to want to make sure you're in compliance with the IRS. Tax planning is making proactive decisions based on analysis and based on information to put yourself in a more kind of favorable tax position moving forward. And so believe it or not, there are a lot of different things you can do, whether it's Roth conversion, utilizing an HSA account, contributing to your 401k. There's a lot of different things you can do from the tax planning standpoint to mitigate or reduce or maybe even eliminate your future tax liability. And so oftentimes people kind of conflate tax preparation with tax planning. And I think that's a mistake and something that we need to really look hard and examine into.
Sure, because like you mentioned, Prashant, you're looking at one calendar year when it's tax preparation.
Yeah.
Tax planning lets you look down the road.
Yep. Absolutely, and it's a big deal, and that's where we get into some of those more complex tax planning topics like Roth conversions. And I know we've spent a lot of time in the last few shows talking about tax planning and Roth conversions, and that's because the viewers come into our office, they meet with us, and they tell us exactly what they're concerned about, which is what I love. And the things that I've been hearing lately are people are concerned that taxes are going to go up, and those higher taxes are going to eat at their income in retirement, which means that they may not have enough to live the way that they want to. And that is a scary thing to go through, the
Most
threat of higher
definitely.
taxes. So tax planning is a big deal, and we've been talking a lot about that lately.
Well, Prashant, I know that you have a very special offer to present to the viewers at home today. Let's talk a little bit about what that is and then open the phone lines.
So when we open the phones up, we're going to open them up only exclusively to the first 10 callers who can call in and secure an appointment with us at our new headquarters in Ellicott City. When you call in, you'll schedule that visit, and it'll be your opportunity to get a financial review, to have a conversation with an independent, unbiased professional who can help you understand whether you are on track for the retirement that you deserve. So call the number. It's 833-308-5200. Now, you're a great candidate to call in if you're unsure whether you've done tax planning, if you're unsure about when your money may potentially run out, or if you're concerned that you cannot weather another bear market like we saw back in 2008. If those are your concerns, those are the most common concerns that are faced by the folks who come in to visit with us. So pick up the phone. It's 833-308-5200 and give us a call, because it's no cost and no obligation to come visit with us.
Prashant, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, the phone number to call is on your screen. That number is 833-308-5200. As Prashant mentioned, you have to be one of the first 10 callers today. And obviously, you'll also receive a copy of Fiscal Health Retirement Wealth for booking your consultation. So don't waste another minute. 833-308-5200. We have to take a very short commercial break, but don't go anywhere. I have so much more with Prashant when we return.
How confident are you in your current financial plan? Do you know with certainty how the recent market volatility will affect your future hopes and dreams? How much are you paying in taxes? And how much are you losing to unnecessary high fees? You didn't work to save this money so that you could spend your time worried in retirement. Now is the time to take charge of your finances so you can feel confident about your future. Call in during the next 30 minutes of today's show only to set up an absolutely complimentary, no obligation, full-blown financial review that will result in your own customized written plan. This is a $999 value that we're giving away complimentary to the first 10 people who respond. We'll start with a full-blown analysis of what you already have by running a report to untangle how much you are currently paying in fees, how you're allocated for risk, and what it's costing to work with your current advisor. Next, we'll identify your goals. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go, and who do you hope to go there with? Is your current financial plan set up to get you there without mishap? Let's design a roadmap to create a financial plan you can follow with confidence. Get the piece that so many people are missing from their retirement. Find out how having a written plan can make a difference to your retirement dreams. Call now to schedule your complimentary, no-obligation, full-blown financial review today.
And welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia Defazio. I'm joined today by Prashant Sabapathi of Elite Income Advisors. Prashant, I love the fact that you're offering the complimentary portfolio review to the first 10 callers only today. Let's talk about the importance of why you should have a portfolio review.
It comes back to having that plan in place. So when we look at the portfolio, we're of course looking at the investments and the risk and the return and the fees, but also what we're doing is we're figuring out how that portfolio integrates into the rest of your financial plan. So really, when we start with that portfolio review, it's not just about the portfolio, it's really about the bigger picture, which is how much risk are we taking and how is that going to affect your ability to generate a reliable stream of income in retirement. I tell you what, one of the biggest concerns that I hear these days is I don't have reliable income in retirement. Okay, like our parents, our grandparents, they used to have pensions. Those defined benefit plans that would come in every single month. They had an income that they could always count on. And as those have started to become extinct, right, you now have to create your own pension. And people are concerned about that. And that's what doing that portfolio analysis will do, is not only identify where your risk and return metrics are, but identify whether or not there's opportunities to create reliable income in retirement.
Prashant, I should ask you, a lot of viewers in the audience say they're probably thinking about what's going to happen if the stock market begins to correct, because obviously we've enjoyed a strong market for so long. What advice do you have for those folks at home?
Understand your downside. It's so important that every single viewer who has money in retirement accounts or is invested in the market should understand their maximum downside potential. Okay, and that's different for every single person, which is when we get into the conversation about risk tolerance. But I believe that if you're going to participate willfully in the market, you need to have an understanding of how much money you may lose if the market was to correct, like you brought up. And so that starts with doing a drawdown analysis, an investment analysis, a fee analysis. All of those things go into that. That's what we're here to do, is help people through that process, because it can be complex, it can be daunting, it can be overwhelming, so much to the point where you don't even want to take action on it. And so we've made this really easy for people. All you have to do is just pick up the phone, give us a call, come in and visit with us, and we'll help you take care of the rest so that you have that solid base of understanding before you make any big major decisions. It's really easy. Just pick up the phone and call.
Absolutely. Prashant, we get a lot of questions regarding bonds. We had one caller that called in and he would like to know how much of my portfolio should be allocated to bonds. What are your thoughts on that?
It depends on your plan, right? Like, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it goes back to having a plan in place that is unique and that is custom tailored for you. I've seen people that have 70 or 80% of their portfolio in bonds, and that was appropriate for them. Okay, I've seen people that have 10% or 0% in bonds, and that was also appropriate, because it all depends on your objectives. Now, one thing to remember is that bonds and interest rates are inversely correlated. So as rates start to go up, we typically will see bond portfolios lose part of their value. And so we're conditioned, I think, to think of bonds as ultra safe investments. And sometimes when we kind of look under the hood and dive a little bit deeper into how bonds work, especially relative to interest rates, when we're already in an ultra low interest rate environment, bonds actually could carry more risk than you think that they do, which is why it's so important to have a portfolio that accounts for that in a rising rate environment.
Thank you so much. I know a lot of people, when we went through that downturn correction, if you will, during COVID days, people were nervous and they may have cashed out and they have all of their assets at home. What advice do you have for those folks who are unsure of what their next step should be?
So I think panic is bred by uncertainty. And when we don't have a plan in place, it really creates a lot of uncertainty, which inevitably leads to panic. And panic leads to making emotional decisions, which may not be well informed. And so when you have a plan in place, you know that, okay, markets are always going to go up and down, and we really don't have control over that. But what we do have control over is our strategy. And once we have that strategy in place, once we have that plan in place, it's going to give you peace of mind to make it a less emotional roller coaster, which is going to avoid bad decision making potentially. And so that's the importance of having that plan in place. Look, it's natural, okay? Even as an advisor, when the market goes down, there's some level of anxiety that comes with that. It's a natural feeling and it's completely okay, but it's made a heck of a lot easier when you have that custom tailored plan in place, which is what me and my team specialize in. So you need to just pick up the phone, give us a call, and see if that can be the right fit for you in helping you retire the way that you've always dreamed of.
So once you design a plan for someone, Prashant, obviously it's very customized to that individual that's coming into your office. It's not a set it and forget it. It's very customizable if things change in that person's life, correct?
100%. That's exactly right, because you don't know what you don't know. You don't know how your life is going to change. You don't know if you might inherit money one day, or if, heaven forbid, you have to output money to help a family member or something like that. And so the key is we take what I would call a bucketing approach to retirement planning, where we have multiple buckets of money that are designed to do different things. One might be to have an emergency fund. One bucket might be a riskier bucket. One bucket might be an income bucket. And so when we look at these buckets together, they're designed to create the maximum amount of flexibility for any particular person, because when life changes, your financial plan is going to have to change as well, which is why we meet with you on an ongoing basis to review that plan and update it as necessary.
Thank you, Prashant. Well, this is the perfect time for us to reopen the phone lines. Would you agree?
Let's do it.
Okay. To the viewers at home, the phone number to call is on your screen. That number is 833-308-5200. What you're calling in for today is a complimentary portfolio review. You have to be one of the first 10 callers to call in. That's very important as well. The number is 833-308-5200. While you are booking that consultation, you'll also receive a copy of Fiscal Health Retirement Wealth when you come into the office. This is a great read. It'll help you plan for retirement, and I know that we're very proud of that book. We can't wait for number 2 to come out. So again, the number is 833-308-5200. We have to take a very short commercial break, but when we come back, I'm going to have viewer questions for Prashant, and the next one could be yours. Stay tuned.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
And welcome back to Retire Smart Maryland. My name is Cynthia Defazio. I'm joined today by Prashant Sabapathi of Elite Income Advisors. Prashant, I love this part of the show because viewer questions are coming in, and I love the fact that we take time each week to address just a few of them because I know people have been anxiously waiting.
Yeah, and it means that people are watching, which is my favorite part of it. So I love getting the questions. We get them in office. We get them on the phone when you call in. So yeah, let's dive right into them.
Okay, that sounds great. So this is a great question. It says, Prashant, why do some annuities seem to have a negative stereotype?
Yeah. Great question, and I'm glad someone asked this. You know, annuities have been in the news a lot lately. You hear a lot of good things, you hear a lot of bad things, and so we really need to dive into that. And look, we're not scared to talk about anything on this show, so let's talk about annuities. When we look at annuities, there's so many different types of annuities out there, and so when you work with your insurance producer on annuities, you want to make sure that you have an understanding of a couple key different things. Number one, is it a variable annuity or is it some type of a fixed or indexed annuity? Variable annuities typically will have higher fees associated with them. And that's a big concern for some people, okay? So when you look at annuities, you have to be cognizant of the fees. You have to be cognizant of access to the money. So if you put your money into an annuity, you might not be able to access 100% of your principal right away. You might have to leave it in that account for 7 years or 10 years, which may or may not be an issue for you. But when you work with an annuity, you just have to understand all of the different features. And I think that there is a lot of negative information because people don't know the right questions to ask. So you want to understand fees, you want to understand risk, you want to understand access to your account and your money if you were to purchase an annuity.
Okay, Prashant, thank you so much. This is a great question. Prashant, what are the best tips for me? I am actually 10 years away from retirement, but I'm not sure what I should be doing today.
So here's 3 or 4 different tips that I always give out just from a general standpoint. And when I tell you number 1, you're probably going to say, you know what, that one stinks. Let's pick another one. But number 1 is you have to start the planning process today.
Okay.
Okay. Every day that goes by, you're letting some other element of uncertainty come into your retirement planning picture that could be detrimental to you. So number 1 is start today. You can do that very easily by picking up the phone and giving us a call. So start today. Number 2 is hire a specialist, okay? You might be working with an advisor already, which is a good thing. However, the advisor that you're working with may be specialized for the accumulation phase of your lifetime. When you get into retirement, you've gone from accumulation to distribution. And so you really need to work with a specialist who can help you distribute that money back to yourself for the rest of your lifetime.
Okay.
Number 3 is you have to begin with what's important. So often I hear the stories of people going in to see financial advisors and they're immediately met with a sales pitch on, hey, you should buy this stock or this mutual fund or this annuity is best for you. And I think that's the completely wrong place to start the financial planning process. We need to start from a standpoint of what you want your life to look like. What will make your life as fulfilling as possible? And then work backwards to figure out how much income you need to make that happen. So that's going to be number 3, is begin with what's important. So those are 3 tips that we all can take advantage of today to get the process started with retirement planning.
Prashant, thank you so much. Now, this is a great question. Prashant, I have a question. How do you manage all of your clients' portfolios?
Very carefully, number 1. I think we understand that people work really hard to accumulate the wealth that they do. And so me and my team, we work just as hard to protect that wealth and grow it with a reasonable level of risk over time while minimizing tax liability. And one way we do that is through tactical asset management. So if the market changes and now you're in retirement and we go through a downturn in the market, wouldn't you expect that your portfolio should change as well?
Sure.
Doesn't that just make intuitive sense?
Sure.
And that's kind of the philosophy behind tactical asset management is we're managing risk first, not return. So when we talk about the accumulation advisor, that person is geared towards getting you the best return possible at all times because we're more interested in growing money. But when you shift into that distribution phase of your lifetime, return is no longer the most important thing. Risk management is the most important because losses hurt more than gains help. So when we manage portfolios, we always look at risk first, and then we try to create the best return that we can given the amount of risk that we're taking.
Thank you so much, Prashant. This is another great question. Prashant, how often can I expect to hear from you once I become your client?
So it's funny, we have clients that come visit us every month if they need to. We have clients that only see us one time a year or everything in between. So what we like to say is we like to visit with our clients, especially those who have money in the market that's fluctuating. We like to see it at least 2 to 3 times a year. Okay, one of those is going to be for a planning meeting. One is going to be typically an investment review. And then the last one will maybe be at one of our client events or something like that. But we are always available. So when you become a client, if you're a good fit for us and we're a good fit for you, you'll become a client. And when you're a client, you're welcome to call us and schedule appointments as needed, in addition to those normally scheduled reviews that we do. So as needed is going to be you buy or sell a house, you retire, you have maybe a new grandchild or something like that, something that has a concrete effect on your financial plan. We want to visit with you to make sure that your plan is up to date.
Prashant, I can't believe we only have a minute left in the show this week. Any final words you want to give the viewing audience?
Absolutely. What I would say is, look, if you are concerned that you want to live off of, you want to protect your principal and live off of your interest. I've been hearing that a lot lately. If you're afraid that you might outlive or outspend your resources in retirement, if you're afraid about inflation, these are the most common concerns that our viewers face. And we've been able to help so many people address these concerns specifically. So last opportunity for today's show, 833-308-5200, only 10 spots available. Pick up the phone and give us a call right now.
Prashant, thank you so much. To the viewers at home, thank you for spending time with us. That number is 833-308-5200. Be safe, be happy, be blessed. We'll see you back here 1 week from today.